Just 4 minutes ago, the Vatican issued a distressing health report on Pope Francis, breaking the hearts of millions of Catholics and supporters worldwide. Many are worried about the future of the beloved pontiff, who is 88 years old and has been fighting a major health problem. As his once mild sickness rapidly worsened, Pope Francis was rushed to Rome's Gemelli Hospital. The Pope is still under strict medical supervision, even though his condition has improved. The faithful are concerned about Pope Francis's health and want to know what happened so they can pray for his recovery. On the other hand, could the Catholic Church be entering a dark period in its history? A life of service despite health problems is being watched by the world with great anticipation. A symbol of the Catholic Church's long sought-after values of humility, compassion, and change, Pope Francis was born George Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Chosen to serve as the 266th Pope in 2013. He became the first Pope from the Americas and was a prominent figure who championed social justice, encouraged religious tolerance, and pushed for progressive change. A lifelong battle with health has not wavered Pope Francis's unfaltering commitment to his spiritual mission. His physical endurance has been tested by these battles, but his reputation as a resilient and resolute leader has been strengthened. Problems with Pope Francis' health started when he was quite young. Surgeons had to cut off a section of his right lung when he was only 21 years old because of a terrible illness. Because of the chronic breathing problems he had as a result of this terrifying experience, he is now at increased risk for lung diseases. Regardless, he persisted in his desire to become a priest, and he joined the Jesuit order, committing himself to a life of prayer, study, and service. Serving the poor, championing social justice, and fostering a more inclusive church were hallmarks of his early years as a priest and later as Archbishop of Buenos Aires. Even though his lung disease still affected him throughout these strenuous tasks, he never let it stop him from doing his duty. Pope Francis has kept a jam-packed itinerary since becoming Pope in 2013, visiting different parts of the world to deal with humanitarian issues and diplomatic initiatives. But as he gets older, he develops a host of health problems, some of which impact his ability to move around and his general health. He had to have a big operation in 2021 to fix diverticulitis, an inflammatory disorder that hurts the intestines. A lengthy hospital stay was necessary for the operation, which included the extraction of a portion of his intestine. His swift return to papal duties astounded even those who worried about his health, showing that he is committed to keeping his church ministry position. Pope Francis' mobility was severely limited as he developed persistent knee discomfort over the years. A cane, and later a wheelchair, were recommended to him as means to ease his pain and avoid additional strain. Concerns regarding his long-term health and a possible repeat of Pope Benedict XVI's resignation owing to health concerns were raised by this noticeable change in his physical ability. Nevertheless, Pope Francis maintained his unwavering resolve, denying reports of his resignation and reiterating his dedication to his position. Pope Francis, despite the physical hardships he has endured, is an inspiration for his perseverance. His resolve to serve as a church leader, an advocate for the downtrodden, and a voice for world concerns has never wavered. Despite facing physical challenges, he has shown remarkable resilience, which speaks volumes about his faith and his commitment to his goal. In spite of everything he had been through in terms of his health, there was more to come. The medical disaster that rocked the Holy See. Another devastating piece of news reached the Catholic world on February 14, 2025. The quick admission of Pope Francis to Rome's Gemelli Hospital caused widespread alarm regarding his health. This stay was especially worrisome given that the pontiff, who was already 88 years old, had experienced numerous health issues during the years. His condition quickly worsened after being initially diagnosed with bronchitis, resulting in a more serious diagnosis of bilateral pneumonia. Medical staff labored around the clock to stabilize his condition, but the Vatican's subsequent updates revealed a concerning picture. Although his chronic coughing and extreme exhaustion were at first written off as harmless seasonal ailments, Pope Francis had been battling them for days before to his hospitalization. Yet the physicians at the Vatican were worried when his symptoms, which included shortness of breath and growing weakness, deteriorated. His condition suddenly deteriorated on Valentine's Day morning, requiring urgent medical attention. As soon as he arrived at Gemelli Hospital, a battery of tests established that he had a serious respiratory illness. By claiming the Pope was just getting a checkup, the Vatican tried to play down the seriousness of the issue at first. It became clear, though, that this was not your average exam as additional information came to light. A case of pneumonia was affecting Pope Francis, a highly risky condition for an individual of his age, particularly when taking into account his history of lung surgery, which had rendered him more susceptible to respiratory ailments. The physicians began an intensive treatment regimen as the Pope's condition worsened. He started taking high-dose antibiotics and was put on oxygen therapy right away to help him breathe. Nevertheless, the medical staff had to step up their efforts as his body continued to resist treatment. Worries over Pope Francis's survival were already high before news broke that he had experienced 2 episodes of respiratory failure, according to Vatican reports. He was put on non-invasive mechanical ventilation, a life-saving technique that supports breathing without intubation to stop his condition from getting worse. Everyone thought this was the Pope's last-ditch effort to prevent more intrusive interventions because of how sick he was. Regular updates from the Vatican press office reassured the public that he was getting top-notch medical attention. The situation's increasing gravity, however, crushed the hearts of many Catholics. A global outpouring of prayers and support came in when word of his illness circulated. Believers gathered in St. Peter's Square for candlelight vigils, hoping for his speedy recovery. Messages of encouragement were sent by religious leaders, world leaders, and everyday individuals, highlighting the Pope's position as a sign of optimism and solidarity. His lengthy hospitalization and the seriousness of his illness have made many wonder if Pope Francis would recover soon or if the Catholic Church is in for a challenging transition, even though the Vatican later said that his condition had improved. The world is currently watching with adoration, hoping that the beloved pontiff will triumph over difficulty once more, as he has on several occasions before. In the meanwhile, all we can do is speculate on the Vatican's current situation, how it affected his responsibilities as a pastor. Not only has the news of Pope Francis's recent hospitalization rocked the Catholic world, but it has also disrupted Vatican business. Due to his declining health, which has been impacted by pneumonia and spells of respiratory failure, he has been unable to fulfill his papal responsibilities to the same extent. Pope Francis's presence is essential for diplomatic contacts, religious celebrations, and decision-making because he is the leader of more than 1 billion Catholics. A discernible change has occurred in Vatican affairs, however, as a result of his illness, which has compelled him to withdraw. It was one of the most tragic and direct consequences of Pope Francis's illness that he could not preside over the Ash Wednesday commemoration on the same day he was taken to Rome's Gemelli Hospital. On Ash Wednesday, Christians around the world begin the solemn season of Lent, during which they reflect on their lives and seek forgiveness from God. At this moment of profound spiritual importance, the Pope traditionally presides over the service, blessing the faithful and sprinkling them with ashes. But this year, Pope Francis failed to carry out this duty for the first time throughout his papacy. His absence was greatly felt, although top Vatican officials took charge of the commemoration in his stead. Many Catholics were saddened to see the papal chair unoccupied at such a momentous event. Tragically, Pope Francis has received some devastating news. Not just because of his pain, but also